well, of course, another of the ones that has been hotly tipped, I think, in the music press and in the music papers, Florence and the Machine, 20-something Florence Welch. She will be collecting, apparently, the Critics' Choice Award at the Brit Awards in February. And some people are saying, are we fans? Apparently Johnny Burrell has been writing some of the tunes, or co-writing some of the tunes, and he's trying to keep that under his hat because he's worried that his reputation may impact on people's perception of them. The Sunday Times today said Welch's songs showcase a fiery, feral singing style and lyrics that look unblinkingly and elusively at love. See if you agree. Florence and the Machine, Dog Days are over. We are listening on the Steve Show to what are predicted to be some of the big sounds of 2009, according to the music press and the newspapers and the blogs. And there we are, Florence, 20 years old. A lot of people are raving about her voice. Sammy, are you going to join that chorus?
For once, yes, I'm going to be a raver. I'm going to be a screaming raver. I loved it. It was percussive and twinkly, and a girl can't ask for more. She can. She won't get it. I loved it.
If you at home wish to give your opinion on any of the tunes that we're listening to, get in touch.
Text us on 64046 or email stephen.sixmusic@bbc.co.uk.
Do you agree with this opinion from Rufus?
Steve, I had a brainwave during that song. We talked last year about the fact that the recession, the credit crunch, leads to AC/DC usually getting the top spot.
Right. Was that scientifically proven? Do we know yet? Has the research data come back?
Yeah, they were analysing it in Cambridge apparently, and it was looking very positive. You're looking at a man obviously who chose Status Quo's "It's Christmas Time" as his #1 Christmas record last year.
How did that do, by the way?
Not so good.
Really? You surprised me.
Didn't chart it. I charted it for the first couple of weeks of its progress with it, and I don't think it marched up. It didn't. Alexandra Burke wasn't shaking her boots.
Right, okay.
But what I say is, in recession, let musicians be brave like that. Let them do extraordinary things, because you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to pay for the production of the record. So you might as well, during a credit crunch, during a recession, enjoy really, really big, ambitious music like that. And I thought that was just terrific and really ambitious and unusual. So I think let's put records like that at #1 this year, not kind of crappy, ordinary music.
How are we going to do that?
By buying it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Buy the record.
Buy records this year, people.
Records.
Please stop illegally downloading them. Please.
Well, I quite liked it, but I already feel like I've heard it too many times. It's, when bands get pushed this hard, you can't avoid them. And for me, the joy of finding new music is actually going out and finding it yourself and not being smashed over the head with it. I guess how it would stand up, if you're looking at it sensibly, how does it stand up against the other bands where it's something and the something? So in terms of against Tilly and the Wall or Doctor and the Medics, it's possibly a little bit ahead of both of those.
Sure.
So I'll give it that at least.
What about, say, Adam and the Ants?
Not as good.
Ooh, Anthony and the Johnsons? This could run and run and run. But sadly, time, our old enemy, has defeated us. We're going to have to move on. Any responses on the blogs and texts?
Yeah, I mean, we did collectively slam White Lies, but a lot of people quite like White Lies. Adam in New Cross, Mark, Sarah, White Lies was the first dance she and her newborn baby Zachary had the other day popping around the bedroom.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
Thought. So yeah, people are, getting in touch and making their voice heard, and that's what counts.
Talking of New Year, incidentally, we should, if I may, put out a big shout to a friend of the show, Michael Sheen. He came in on our sort of show that was between Christmas and New Year, and we were just chatting to him, we had a good time. Hang on a minute, I obviously, as always, consult the newspaper January 1st, just to see if I've made the New Year's Honours list once again. Not in there.
Oversight.
Genuinely, I was mentioning to someone the other day, genuinely, I always think that my name might be in there. Like, that's how I'm going to find out. That they wouldn't have bothered to email me or something beforehand, but that I would just open the paper, there's a picture of me, hey, I can't believe it. But once again, not in there. This year, definitely going to try and do more for charity, just because I think it sort of seems like ultimately, if I play my cards right, it could be in the post. But I don't want to, I don't want to preempt anything. It's not for me to say. But if you'd like to maybe start some kind of campaign at home, I'll leave you to do that. But anyway, yes, Michael Sheen. I was surprised to see that Sheeny was in there. Now, Michael Sheen, if you're not familiar with him, he is the actor who has played Tony Blair in a number of TV projects, and he's also in this forthcoming film Frost Nixon, which I saw, by the way, which was excellent, despite your absence from it, Rufus. I'm afraid to say it was also very good.
Okay, I haven't seen it yet. It's out in about 3 weeks, isn't it?
It
so, looking forward to it. Half.
But anyway, yes, so he's got an OBE. Now, can it be pure coincidence that he was on our show? Obviously, he didn't mention the OBE to us, and yet, a few days later, There he is.
I'm just, a lot of the time I think the Queen sits around with various names in front of her thinking she's got a yes pile, a no pile, and a maybe pile. She's got 6 music on.
Of course she's got 6 music on.
There's Sheeny sitting in the, I quite liked him in that, but I wasn't sure about him in this. And then he takes a sideways look at 08 with Stephen McGann, and she goes, into the S pile straight away.
I love the idea that the Queen herself is the final arbiter of who gets an OBE in knighthood, that she's got a vast list.
Yeah.
And rather like Santa, she's checking it twice to see who was naughty and nice. Sheeny's he hasn't dropped the ball this year. She thinks, boom, big tick.
Yeah.
But who knows who got left out, who's perhaps, I suspect, someone like Rory Bremner, who I suspect has mercilessly mocked Prince Charles in the past. Probably no chance.
I think once people find out...
Or Mike Yarwood, for instance. Yarwood still without an OBE or anything.
Davro, he ain't got nothing.
Davro, nothing. A lot of the impressionists.
I think I'd be very surprised if the show at the end of this year we're not having the studio door banged down by maybes in the OBE.
Exactly.
Desperate to get on the show in hope that it might just tip the balance.
As I suspected, Mike Yarwood does have an OBE.
Oh, really?
Of course he does.
Wow,
He's all
okay.
around entertainment.
But yeah, sort of Brucey, for instance. Perhaps if he'd agreed to come on the show just before Christmas, he would be Sir Bruce. Arise, Sir B, we'd have been saying. But no, once again, despite entertaining the nation for, I think, 412 years now, still nothing, which is very frustrating. Listen, we will crack on with the new tunes, stuff that you should be aware of for 2009, and formulate an opinion thereof. Here's Little Boots, aka Blackpool-based singer-songwriter Victoria Hesketh, who is, according to the NME, one of many synth-pop artists poised to break big in 09. Little Boots and Medal, Steve Show 6 Music. We are just listening to some of the tunes from artists that have been tipped to be big in 2009. I feel it's my public service duty to try and keep you abreast of what you should be aware of in the new year. And so there we are. I'm going to go straight to Sammy. There's not going to be moments of hesitation. I'm going straight to Sammy. I'm not even going to dilly-dally. I'm not going to choose Harry or Rufus. It's straight to Sammy. Go.
It could have been very early Girls Aloud. Sounds like an overproduced song for a girl band. They're trying to reinvent or something. It didn't scream of hot chip or electronic excitement. It just seemed a bit too much.
These are supposed to be the artists that the youth, are loving. I'm surprised. So far, you've not really been particularly...
You heard about
impressed.
my New Year's Eve. I'm no longer the youth.
That's
I'm
true.
in my 20s now.
Oh, yes. Come your birthday. How old are you?
22.
Oh, when you get to 23, how are you going to be celebrating? Maybe Sudoku?
I think I'm just going to rock slowly back and forward and cry.
Oh, like last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Harry?
Well, if we're going to have synths everywhere in 09, let's at least have big, fat, hairy, squelchy ones like that. It was quite enjoyable. I wouldn't ever really want to hear it again. But as far as it went, it was fine.
Apparently synth bands, and there's quite a few of them I've noticed, they're becoming quite the vogue for 09. Is that a concern for you?
I don't know what's wrong with a good old harpsichord, Steve, really? Or a pianola. If someone played that song on a nice clavichord or a Steinway, imagine how nice it would sound.
It would, wouldn't it?
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That made me want to Vogue a little bit. I haven't wanted to Vogue for a long time. That did make me want to Vogue, but that's all I had going for it.
Were any of... Because I'm surprised, you see, I think I'm a little disappointed that that wasn't the kind of music, and I don't mean that, I mean music played on a harpsichord or, perhaps, as you say, a classic pianola. At your New Year, I'm surprised you were listening to Dave Pearce's dance anthems. That seems awfully wild for you.
Well, Steve, I mix it up, as you know. I mean, I'm growing a moustache at the moment, and I'm thinking of affecting a pipe or something, or similar.
Yes.
And so I'm nothing if not eclectic on the New Year's Eve. It's a bit of Dave Pearce, bit of organ, that sort of thing. Pipe and slippers, bit of smack.
Organ music, fancy with the opera style, is you don a cape and play in the New Year with a giant organ.
Looking over my
pipe
shoulder.
organ, incidentally, we should just point this out. I don't know if people are familiar with what Rufus looks like. They can always go online. I'm sure there's plenty of pictures of him. He's a good-looking fella. But yeah, you are growing a beard and moustache, a goatee, for want of a fashionable phrase.
Yeah.
And but what's interesting to me is it makes you look rather sinister. It makes you look like a sort of evil Rufus clone. The only way I'd be able to tell, maybe in this edition of Star Trek, is that you happen to have a beard. Otherwise you look exactly the same. No one else has mentioned it, of course. They're just simply thinking that's you with a beard.
Yeah, exactly.
And you look rather sinister, like maybe you're working from within the show to bring it down. I know I am. But what's going on?
Well, it's a stabilizer system for a moustache. any gentleman knows that you can't grow a moustache on its own, as in from scratch, because it just looks like bum fluff, and you look like a teenage guitar tech. So I'm having to grow a beard at the same time, and then in 2 weeks' time the beard will vanish in stages. I'm going to go for what I learnt yesterday. It's called the soul spot, so the middle of your lip, middle of your lip there. And then
prior to that, though, couldn't you shave off? So you've got the sort of Fu Manchu, Sancho Panza.
Oh yeah,
and there's a number of pretty. I think the Killers, don't the Killers have?
I think they do.
Droopy and stuff.
Yeah, it's not great radio to describe exactly what my facial hair looks like, but we might see something on the website. But then at a certain point, the beard will disappear completely. I'll have a nice 1930s moustache for Private Lives at the Hampstead Theatre.
We're all looking forward
Still
to that
available.
enormously.
Sex music.
This time last year.
One of the biggest reunions of the year alongside Blur is surely the Specials, who will be back, I think, in April. And there's Gangsters and a version done for the BBC. We don't know when, sometime lost in the past. Who knows? If you're a massive Specials nerd and you happen to have written that on your website dedicated to their BBC sessions, then by all means, keep it to yourself. So thank you very much, Steve Jones, Six Music. We are listening to some of the music of 2009. Before we get to that, though, I'm a massive fan of, well, maybe you don't, but I am a massive fan of Radio 4. I love Radio 4. I pretty much love everything that's on there. I can't get with the Archers. Still a bit confused by that. I still don't really understand why that's present. One of my favourite links, just towards the end of 2008, I swear to God, this is an actual link that I heard on Radio 4. It just said, at 7:15, Mark Lawson with Front Row. Now, Ruth and Jill are off to the abattoir in the Archers. I loved it. I don't know what adventure they had down at the abattoir. Maybe it was an Archers special, where they go down to the abattoir. You look rather like on EastEnders, when occasionally just two of the characters have one story, maybe in the laundrette or something. But Ruth and Jill down at the abattoir, who knows what? Maybe they killed an animal. Maybe they snuck in. Maybe they're anti-abattoirs and they were setting the pigs and geese free. Is that what you have in an abattoir? Who knows? But anyway, if you heard that particular edition of the abattoir. The Abattoir. Now on Radio 4, The Abattoir. It's a spin-off from The Archers.
Yeah, with the theme tune, with just screaming, howling in the background.
But it's still the same. But yeah, just. And the sound of that kind of bullet type thing that they fire into the heads of geese. I don't know why I'm thinking particularly geese. I'm presuming they are killed at some point.
Yeah, you see many fewer of them in abattoirs than you think.
You must have spent some time in abattoirs, I'd have thought. Because on the farm, down on the farm, down on your land, just checking what your staff are up to. But yeah, no. Anyway, so I'm a massive fan of Radio 4. But I was frustrated because I think, was it last week or the week before, they had a number of celebrity guest editors on the Today programme, the morning news programme. People like Zadie Smith guest edited it. And the one that I've heard rave reviews about was the one guest edited by Jarvis Cocker, who in the past has stood in for us. And anyway, apparently he did a dynamite interview with Johnny Wilkinson, the rugby player, and somehow they got onto the subject of quantum physics, which is extraordinary to me. And so I asked the guys here to track down that interview, and here's a little segment of it. And this is what I think is truly remarkable about the BBC, and if there's ever a reason, if it needs be to justify why the BBC should be in existence, it's this. Jarvis Cocker from Pulp talking to Johnny Wilkinson about quantum physics.
Well, how did you first hear about quantum physics? What got your interest going in it?
When I was younger, I used to think a lot about kind of the finite nature of everyone's life and the sort of mortality and parents and that sort of thing. So I spent far too much time thinking about it when I was a young lad, and then just quite recently I sort of got into the whole science of it, and it just seemed to click with me. Those questions, I think those existential questions that I really wanted answered, just suddenly I got the bug. I wanted to read about them, and the science mixed with the religious, spiritual side seemed to just go hand in hand.
And a lot of it happened when you were suffering from some injury and realised that kind of rugby